Hi all, welcome to session 8 of Azure Data Factory. In this session, we are going to explore the enable partitions discovery option of source tab in copy data activity. So let's go to Azure portal and let me open my data factory. Let me go to resource group, and in the resource group, we are going into Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Factory Studio. Fine. So here we are, and we are going to look at our current pipeline that we are seeing from last couple of sessions. Simultaneously, let me just go back to my resource group and let me open my ADF account. Sorry, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. So in that we have data, customer source, customer sync. Okay, fine. So these three we created in our last session. Okay. Now I'm going to explain you the data that I'm going to use. This is the main data that I have created by myself. So let me just open it. So this data depicts different students from which stream they are and from which batch they are. So it is around, I think there are 19 students. Then they are divided into three streams, that is science, commerce and arts. And then each stream is divided into different years like 2010 batch, 2011 batch and 2012 batch, so on and so forth. So when you are storing this data, you can create something like partitions in your data lake. So if I store this data in partitions, I can partition on two levels. So I can partition the data on streams, and then I will partition the data on batch. So when I create the partition on stream, there will be one folder for each stream. So there will be three folders, one for science, one for commerce and one for arts. And then in that we will have multiple folders based on the year. Okay. So I have already created it. So let me just go back to let me just go back. I think it is here only. No, it is not. Containers. Yeah, so I have created something like students container, and in that I have created the partition. So here you see I have the partitions with me. So if you see, partition is like stream is equal to arts, stream is equal to commerce, stream is equal to science. So whenever you are creating partition, you have to create partition in this format. You have to give the name of the column on which you are creating partition. So I'm creating partition on stream equal to the value of the partition. So partition value is arts, science and commerce. And in each we have batch partitions. Okay. Now this is the source. Now if you want to create one single file in which we want to have all the data from all the partitions along with the partitions from which they have come. So for example, if I am getting the data from batch 2010 of arts partition, so it should also contain the stream arts and batch 2010 column. If you go right now and check in the CSV, let me see if I can edit. Mm, okay, let me open. So arts 2010, and if I open in the notepad, you see I just have id and student, I don't have anything else. Okay, so I want there should be two more columns, one depicting the stream and one depicting the batch. Okay, so to do that you can use something called as enable partitions discovery. Make sure that you follow the format for the partition. That means you should be having partition column name equal to the name of the equal to the value of that partition. Okay, so let me just go back to my students container, and I will create a directory called as sync. Done. Now I'll go into this, and in this I will go into source. Okay, so currently our file path is on data container. So let me open my data set and let me change it to students. Okay, I'm not publishing it, I'm just keeping as it is. So wildcard file path have switched to students. Okay, similarly for sync I'm going to open and I'm going to change it to students. Okay, so both are changed. Okay, now I'm also going to show you how copy behavior is going to impact our output. So first I'm going to say merge file. So in this case what it is going to do, it is going to take all the files from all the partition and create one single file. Okay, so let me go and say debug. Okay, before that let me just say enable partition discovery, and I say debug, and I'm saying I want everything from source star.csv in the sync csv. Done. Okay, let me go back and let's look at the sync. So main file.csv, if you click on it and if you download, let me go to my container. I think in the containers you can edit data and see the data directly. So here if you go to sync main file csv and if you click on edit, see, you have stream and you have batch. So every record from every partition, it is merged into one file, and you can give the name of that file, main file, and you can see everything is there. So all the partitions are clubbed together in this file with their corresponding partition values. This is one way. Then if I go back to my data factory and I change the sync to preserve hierarchy. Okay, and if I run the debug again, I'm going to say source .csv sync. So it is going to give you the values of those two columns. That means partition of stream and one partition of batch in the file, but it is going to maintain the partitions folders. So all the folders will be maintained as it is. So let's just see that it succeeded. Let me go back to my containers, students, sync. As you can see, you have science, commerce and arts. If I go into, let's say, commerce, we have batches 10, 11, 12, 13. If I click on 2010, 2010, and if I click on edit, you can see you have a batch and you have the stream, but it is a partition data. So everything like we have in our source directory structure and everything, it is maintaining that. Okay, so let me just delete all four. Now the last part is I'm going to say flatten hierarchy. So let's see what happens. I'm going to say source r.csv sync. Okay, so it succeeded. Let's just go and see in the sync. So you have all the files from each partition, but you will not be able to give any name. So there will be how many files? Let me see. There will be 4 arts file, 4 commerce file, and 3 science file. That means total 11 files should be there. So let's go back and check. There are total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So total 11 files. So this is how enable partition discovery works. There are two things to keep in mind. One thing is that you have to give your partitions in this format: partition column name and the value, and then you can have multiple partitions inside that, and based on this the output will have the value of the partition column. So you will have stream column where you will have the value of the partition from which the file was created, and the inside that, if you have another partition like batch, it will also create. So the number of partitions you will have, the number of columns it will have. This is how it is going to work. For the merge file, it is going to give you one file. You have the option to give the file name, or it will automatically give the file name in ADF. Second, you can preserve the hierarchy. In that, everything will look same as the source, but you will have the partition columns also in the output files. And you have flatten hierarchy. In the flatten hierarchy, you will not be able to provide any name to the files. Those will be automatically given, but each file will have the partition columns in it. So this is how the partitioning enable partition discovery works. Okay, I have not seen use of this particular feature in copy activity a lot. Generally we create partitions instead of creating one single file from multiple partitions, because in the big data application it is much easier to skip data if you have data stored in a partition format. So but still, it is from the sense of understanding how the copy activity works, this option is very useful in certain scenarios. Okay, so I hope you like this session, and in the next session we are going to take a look at the maximum concurrent currency maximum concurrent connections, and the uh, I think it was in, yeah, so maximum concurrent connections and the skip line count. So these are the next two options that we are going to explore in our next session. So stay tuned. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know if you liked my video in the comment section. Thank you so much.